Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shannon Confidential. I'm Shannon, your host, and Shannon Confidential is a podcast about life, love, and everything in between. And what's in between for all of us, no matter who you are or where you are, is your emotions. Good emotions, bad emotions, happiness, sadness, ups and downs, whatever it is, we all experience emotion and you can't get away from it. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, man or a woman, how much you make, what car you drive, what religion you are. It doesn't matter. We all go through emotions and it's completely unavoidable. And that is why I'm so excited to bring you Masha Malka, the 1 Minute Coach. And this episode is about mastering your emotions. And let me tell you, she knows what she's talking about. She came here, she's a former refugee from the Soviet Union at 17, not willingly, with her family. And what she has accomplished since she was 17, coming to a country she doesn't even know. Could you imagine that? Senior year in high school. I know what I was like at 17, and most of you out there were either graduating or just graduated. And I can tell you, going to a different country, knowing nothing, not even the language, that is conquering your fear once you get there and figure this all out. And she is remarkable. I can't wait for you to hear her entire story. Don't let go. Stay tuned. It is remarkable what she's been through and what she's done and what she can teach all of us about mastering our emotions and what's yet to come for her. I don't even know what to say. She's absolutely incredible. And we're doing this Zoom podcast. She is in Spain right now. So she's taking her time out. Please just understand if there's any little glitches, she's calling in from Spain. So stay tuned, everybody. She's fantastic. Okay, everybody, here she is. Here's Masha. Yay! Can't wait for all of you to meet her. She has the most incredible story, but I don't want to take up too much of her time. So Masha, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Oh, hi, Shannon. Hi, everybody. I love your energy, and I'm so excited to be on your show and to share with your listeners my story, which will hopefully inspire and add some knowledge or wisdom. So, yes, my story started in the Soviet Union. I was born in the Soviet Union. It's a country that doesn't exist anymore, as you know. Um, it, it is now Ukraine. But when I left the Soviet Union as a refugee, it was still Soviet Union. So I don't consider myself to be Ukrainian or even Russian, even though I speak Russian. It's more of a Soviet because of my mentality, my mindset. So, unlike what most people might assume, growing up in the Soviet Union was actually quite nice. It was for children, it's very good environment to be in because education is free, and for somebody who loves to learn, as I do, I always love to learn. I still do. I was able to do everything, practically everything I wanted. So besides normal school, I also finished music school. I did 5 years of a very strange instrument that most people don't know. It's called bayan, which is like an accordion, but it's got like buttons on both sides. So I did 5 years of full-time music school with that. And I did dance, and I'm still dancing actually. Dancing has been a constant in my life, in fact.
Love that.
When I, yeah, I know you're also, yes, you're also a dancer. Yeah. So, in fact, when I did immigrate to the United States of America and my family came to Miami, we came with nothing. We came with no money, no language, no contact, believing actually because it was still the middle of Cold War. So we were brainwashed to think that America is quite a bad country with all the homeless people outside and it's a dangerous country. So, I was quite scared to go there. But of course, it was not true. But not speaking the language initially, I was 17 years old. I was sent to an American high school
Wow.
because I didn't get a chance to get my diploma. I was about to get it, but I didn't get it, so I didn't have a physical diploma. So they said, okay, go to high school. When I arrived to American high school, this is 1987, I, I honestly thought I ended up in some kind of another universe because Soviet Union is a very strict country, the way we're raised. Um, we were there was no exposure to anything sexual or anything. The music was very controlled. Everything was controlled, and everybody wore uniforms, and you couldn't wear makeup, and your hair had to be like a certain way, and it just
Wow.
was very strict. And suddenly I come to high school in
An
1986.
American high school.
Yes, bright clothes and like listening to boom
Big
boxes
hair.
and all like different various nationalities, skin colors, which also we did not have in the Soviet Union. I was actually really scared. I said to my mother, they're gonna eat me alive. I have no idea how to survive in this environment.
Wow.
Especially, I didn't understand anything. It was just so strange for me. And I said to Mom, I cannot go to high school. I cannot.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, no, really, it was, the if you've seen Unorthodox, if you've seen the movie Unorthodox, when she goes outside of that environment into a nightclub or something, it was very similar for me. When I ended up going to this, it was just everything just looked like it was alien. Very, very strange. So I actually managed to get to college, Miami-Dade Community College, and because I came from the Soviet Union, I was strong in math. It kind of came with the territory, and math doesn't require that much knowledge of the language. And I was good at dance because I was majoring in dance when I was in Russia. So I chose to major in math, minor in dance, mainly because it didn't require the knowledge of the English language. But the interesting thing is changing the environment so drastically. I kind of lost myself because I didn't understand how to fit in that new environment. I had no sense of purpose. I really did feel lost, and that was a very difficult. Not having purpose, which is, by the way, now I dedicate a lot of what I do in helping people, especially younger people, teenagers, find their purpose. Because not knowing your purpose is a very scary place to be.
It's as scary as an adult.
Because yes, as an adult as well. Yes, so I struggled with that a bit, and I thought if I take every possible course, I might figure out what it is that I'm meant to be doing, which I did actually. I had so many credits in college. But then I graduated with maths, majoring in math with a scholarship, in fact. And I decided, I chose to major in education afterwards, mainly because I thought, okay, I want to travel. Teachers are needed everywhere. I do like to teach. I was trying to choose between education and psychology. But I decided to choose education mainly because I don't enjoy psychology is based a lot on theories of other people, and I like to be pioneer in everything. I like to do my own thing. I like to create my own programs and kind of like to follow the footsteps of somebody. Even when I was in the music school, that was my main problem because I did reading notes. I wanted to do my own music. So yes, so I chose to major in education, elementary education, and I got my bachelor's in elementary education and teaching English as a second language. So now going back a little bit, when actually well, before I arrived in Miami, we had a stopover in Vienna, Austria. It just was a process because as a refugee, you lose everything. You don't just lose all your possessions. They take away everything material, including money. You're only allowed like an equivalent of $80 per person and two small pieces of jewelry, like a small suitcase of things. But you also lose your citizenship. So you don't belong to any country. You become like the enemy of the state.
That's dramatic for anybody.
That's dramatic. Yes, especially I didn't really want to go. I was happy. I had a lot of friends. I was studying. I was going out, and I was going into an environment, like I said, that the only thing I knew about it was not nice. It was scary. So I didn't know where I was going and why. And in fact, I said
Why are
to
you
my
bringing me to such a scary place?
I know I said to my mom, I said, I don't want to go. And she was very wise. She was very clever. And she said to me, okay, stay then. Because you don't want to go head to head with a teenager and try to prove that, because, I just get stubborn. She said, yes, no problem, stay, but we go. So I thought about it. I'm like, okay, do I want to actually be all by myself? No, not really. So I went. Now, the first cultural shock actually happened in Vienna, Austria. We had to take so as I mentioned, I'm from Ukraine, the city called Kharkov, and we had to take a train to Moscow, and there they chartered a plane just for refugees. It was a private plane. We were not told exactly when we were leaving. It was all very secretive and kind of. And in fact, when we flew into Vienna, we didn't fly into normal where everybody flies. We flew somewhere in the back. We went through some corridors, so there's no people. It was really strange. Got in some van, taken back streets somewhere. It was interesting.
Wow.
When we first landed, it was 5 families. And the first thing we see when we land in this new foreign land, as there was a stand with brochures, just some brochures. And we're like, oh, what is this? What is this? Because the first thing we all see. And so we're like a little bit like wild people in civilization. I was kind of the brave one that I'm going to go find out. Oh, they said, what is this and how much does it cost?
Wow.
So I came out to the woman who was standing there, and I said that, how you had to say how much? And she says, free. So I go to the groups and I say, it's free. I was like, oh my God, it's free. Let's get lots of it. It's just brochures. We can't even read the language. It's in German, but it's free. So it's like, just like the mindset is so different. So yeah, now looking back, it's funny, but at the time it was just like
wow.
that. So we were taken to some house. It was like a big. It wasn't a house. It was like a flat, I suppose, with a. I think it was a bedroom for each family, one bedroom for each family, one kitchen for us to share, and one toilet for us to share.
For a family.
We lived there for 3 months. Yes, so that's for
wow.
all the families. The toilet was shared with all the families, and the kitchen was shared with all the families. And I remember, in fact, I rebelled at one point and I ran away. Not too far, of course. I went to this park, but I just wanted to run away. I was just quite depressed. I was missing my friends. I could not be in touch with my friends, because if anybody in the Soviet Union was in touch with people outside of the Soviet Union, the KGB would be after that. I didn't want to get them into trouble. So I couldn't be in touch with anybody. And yeah, I was really feeling down. So, and so 3 months we were in Vienna, and then we got the permission to go into Miami, because we had to apply and to see as refugees as they would take us in, and they did. So we arrived to Miami, was December 3rd. Now, December in Miami, the weather is pretty good, but for me, the humidity still hit me. I remember so clearly coming out of the airport and the glass door sliding open, and I go out and this humidity hits me, and I kind of step back and I'm like, and I said, like, where am I? This like hell.
It was like the jungle.
I don't be here anyway, but then, yes, it was so different, so foreign, so unusual. I said to my parents there and then, I said, the first opportunity I get, I'm leaving. That's what I said. All my family still lives in Miami, very happy. But the day I graduated from the university, 3 days later, in fact, I packed and left for Europe, because I love Europe. But I go to Miami all the time. In fact, I'm going on Saturday. And I go to the States, and I love New York and California, but I like living in Europe. This is just more for my soul. So we arrived to Miami. Obviously, we had no money, like I said, no language, no skills, no context. So everybody started at zero. my father, who had a very high position in the Soviet Union, he was director of all the parks and the recreational recreation parks and clubs and so on. He went to kind of babysit an elderly woman just to drive her around and help her and so on. My mom went to clean houses, and she has a master's as an engineer, so she had high positions. But when you get to that space, we came also with my brother, who was younger. He went to school. I was one of the first people to get a job. I was doing I was working in college, in Miami-Dade Community College, the study program. I think I was making $2.75 an hour. I remember that at the time.
Wow.
So yes, but we were fine. We had to survive. It was not the time to get too depressed or too upset, because it doesn't lead you anywhere. You have to survive. So you just need to pull yourself together and learn the language and do what needs to be done. And every job I could find, I took. Sometimes, I didn't have a car, obviously, initially, so I'll take the bus to college, then I'll go to work here. I would do 2-3 jobs, and so, my parents couldn't help me because they had to help themselves and my brother and so on.
Masha, this is incredible.
And it was
this
a great
is
experience.
Absolutely incredible.
Thank you, Shannon. Yes, when you go through this kind of experience, then a lot of things afterwards, just like, it's no big deal. Like, it's okay, I can do it, it's fine.
Yes.
So it was a fantastic experience. At 17, as hard as it really gave that foundation where I knew I could survive no matter what. And I don't know if you want me to continue.
No, I think it's great. So where at what point in your life did you realize, I know you were going to school for education and what you were doing. When did you have that moment where you knew the direction it was going to start to take you, which led you to, you're a professor now and everything that happened to get you there? What was that defining moment for you?
Sure. Well, in 1996, I was very fortunate to attend a seminar put together by Anthony Robbins in Miami. He was still quite new. He had these infomercials, and I bought his program. And then I went to his event where he had guest speakers. There was Bryan, Tracy was there, Pat Riley was there, George Bush Sr. was there. I remember every speech. I was absolutely fascinated. It was my first kind of way to exposure to this self-development and this new way of looking at things. And I was just so hungry for that information, and I was really fascinated. I remember I bought actually Bryan Tracy's programs, Psychology of Achievement and Psychology of Selling. I bought. And it was just a couple of months before we moved to Europe. And my now ex-husband, he's European, so that's how we ended up here. So in fact, when we moved back, it was exactly 10 years later, we moved back to Vienna. So I lived in Vienna in 87 and then in 97.
Okay.
And I spent 3 months basically listening to Psychology of Achievement by Bryan Tracy and doing all the exercises. There has never been a time in my life when I did not take a course. I'm always learning something, always. I believe this is something else. This is something that you have to do because, I'm deviating a little bit, but I just want to say that knowledge doubles every 3 years. Whatever you know now, 3 years from now becomes obsolete, unless you constantly, feeding yourself and learning.
I love that.
You're going to be left behind. Yes. In fact, my first book is on this topic. It's on the skill of learning, how to learn, accelerated learning techniques, whole brain learning. It's called Discover Your Inborn Genius. I'm very much an advocate for lifelong learning and why it's important and how to do it and so on.
I just think not sorry to interrupt, and for all of you watching, Masha is coming to us from Spain, so there's a little bit of a delay. So again, I don't mean to interrupt you, Masha, but I 100% agree with you that knowledge is just what keeps your brain growing, and you have to read, you have to learn, you have to keep going out there. Don't just be a sponge, be out there learning it all. And I just love how you're saying how you did that, and how your brain works, and every 3 years. This is such a lesson for anybody out there watching. Keep going. I think reading is the best thing to expand the mind.
Absolutely. And you know how people often say knowledge is power. I actually say knowledge is not power. It is the application of the knowledge that is power. Some people become information junkies. I call them information junkies. You know, they go from seminar to seminar, and they're learning and they're reading and but they're not really doing much with that information. They're taking it in, but they're not putting it out. And you need to learn actively. When you're reading a book, underline. I always start like a new note when I start a new book. And if I find something that's really interesting, I'll write it out, because you forget. You think, oh, like this is great. But 2 days later, you don't remember what it was. 3 months later, even less so. So write it out somewhere. You take notes, but then go back, read it again. You know, if you review it in 24 hours, in 1 month, in 6 months, you actually will retain about 75% of it. If you don't, you retain 5% of it. So you're wasting your time in a way. So if you are going to take your time to read a book or to go to a seminar, invest time and money, make sure you're actually going to do something with it, so you don't waste your resources. So I spent 3 months listening to this. It was a cassette at the time, to this program, Psychology of Achievement. And I did every single exercise, and I thought about it, and I implemented it. And then I decided I want to study business, and I was always fascinated in leadership. So I took like MBA focusing on leadership. And this was already, so that was a few years later. I think it was the beginning of 2000s, just when coaching started to come into the markets, which is very beginning of 2000s. And very fortunately for me, part of the leadership program, coaching was one of the courses. And I fell in love with it. I thought to myself, this is what I was looking for all my life. No wonder I couldn't find the subject I liked. It didn't exist. It was not, you know, it wasn't there. So when I discovered coaching, I was just, that's it. You know, I do it anyway. You know, I'm so, like, friends always came to me for advice, and I loved, you know, sharing my thoughts, and I have a very mathematical approach to what I do, intuitive, but also mathematical, logical. So everything is has to make sense and lead from one thing to the next, because, you know, my background is in maths, yes, as I told you. So yes, so to answer your question, this is how I discovered that coaching is my calling, and I've been a coach since 2002. When I had to educate in Europe, because it came to Europe much later than America. And I was doing my MBA in American University. So I had to educate everyone what is coaching, because everybody thought the coach is just somebody who coaches sports teams. They didn't understand what life coaching is. So I had to educate them about what coaching is, and then educate them about my program. But the good thing is I was the only coach in my town for quite a while. So there you go. I dominated the market.
John, I was going to say, you own the market.
Yeah.
And is that, at that point, were you the 1 minute coach, or did that come later?
So what happened is, like I said previously, I very much value people's resources. And by that, I mean, not just money, but their money, their time, which I think time is very valuable, because, you know, time is something you can never get back. Money you can make again. The time, once it's gone, it's gone. Your energy, is also in a way limited, where you channel your energy, you're not going to channel somewhere else. So that's another resource that you have to be very aware of. I value it for myself and I value it for others. So when people started coming, when I started doing workshops and seminars, and they would come, and I could see that they were very eager to learn and very eager to change and create change in their life and become the best they can be and make the most of their lives. What I noticed that when they go back to their day-to-day life, most of them just fall back into the routine as before, and very few actually implemented what they learned.
Exactly.
And that bothered me. So I was thinking, like, what can I do to change that? So okay, I'm going to send them little reminders, just small reminders. Everybody's busy, but everybody can find 1 minute just to be reminded of what we learned. And it was initially just for the people who attended my training courses. And I called it the 1 minute coach because I wanted to make sure it did not take more than a minute. And I made sure that it wasn't just a reminder. I gave them specific action steps as to, okay, this is what we spoke about. Remember, this is what you can do with it. So 1 minute reminder, action steps. I call it the 1 minute coach. And then people started sharing it with others, and people started signing up to my newsletter, and it grew. And 2 years later, people would say to me, can you please put it in the book? Because I printed out, I put it in the folder, but now I cannot find it. Like, it's too many newsletters that are falling out, and can you just put it in the book? And writing was always the worst subject for me. I was really not good in writing. I liked sciences. I did not like writing at all. I laughed at them. I said, are you kidding? I'm not an author. What are you talking about? There's no way I'm writing a book. But being of the mentality that you want to make it easier for people and you want to help people, they asked me again, and I thought, all right, fine, let me see what I can do. So I printed out all the newsletters, kind of put them in section. I said, okay, this can be a book. I'll just put it together just to make it easier. And said, I know nothing about writing a book. But here's something that happens when you have the right intention. When your intention comes from the heart because you want to help. And when you put it out there into the universe, the universe gives you an answer. 24 hours later.
I love this. Yes, please tell me I'm on pins and needles. I totally believe in everything you're saying right now.
Yeah, thank you. 24 hours later that I said, I kind of said, okay, what now? I said, I said, what now? Like, how? I know nothing about publishing books. 24 hours later, I get an email from a newsletter from somebody I didn't open. Like you get sometimes emails you don't open.
Yeah.
But this one I decided to open. And it's a promotion for a book marketing university by Mark Victor Hansen. He used to hold them. He doesn't hold them anymore. Mark Victor Hansen, as you know, is the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, plus the 1 Minute Millionaire and like a few other books. But I'm in Spain at the time. This event is in Orlando, 2 weeks from the time that I get the newsletter.
Wow.
At the time, I have somebody a child who just turned 3, a child who just turned 7.
Wow.
Yeah, very young. I didn't have the resources at the time to go to this event, to pay for it, to fly and everything. But, these things never stopped me. I said to myself, I have to be there. Again, intention. See, I teach this these days. There's a difference between a wish and an intention. A wish is, it would have been nice for me to go there. I wish I could go there. It's like you get really thirsty, you wish for a glass of water, and you die wishing for a glass of water because it's just a wish. An intention is something, I have to be there. I'm going to be there. And then it just falls into place. So then what happens is I spoke to one of my clients, and she was extremely grateful to me because in her opinion, I saved her life. She was suicidal, and I gave her hope, and she was super grateful, and she had plenty of resources, and she practically begged me to finance this trip for me. And I let her, why not? You know, it made her happy, and it's something that I needed. So she paid for my ticket to go there, and within 24 hours we found a nanny for my kids. And you know what? She's still with us. That's 15 years ago. She's still like this. That woman is still living.
It was meant to be
part of the family. No, that's it. That's what I'm saying. When you really want something, like really want something, and you eliminate doubts, even when it's impossible, and it, you know, for most people at that moment, that would be impossible. To be in 2 weeks in Orlando when you have 2 little kids, no one to look after them, and no money to go, you know, it's impossible. But you know, if forget the impossible, is just it's all here, it's all in mind. Yeah. So so I get there, I get all the information that I need, I meet influential people. In fact, I became a co-author in one of the Chicken Soup for the Souls, the Chicken Soup for the Power Moms, not co-author, contributing author.
Mm-hmm.
I met Mark Victor Hansen, I met lots of other people. And I came back and I knew exactly what needed to be done. And I came back also to find out I was, no, not when I came back, but like a month later, I found out I was unexpectedly pregnant with a third child. It was not a planned pregnancy, but it happened just as I wanted to publish my book. And I said to myself, okay, I have a very busy career as a coach. I have 2 little kids. I want to publish this book, and I'm pregnant with a third child. Like, what do I do? I was feeling overwhelmed. And because it was an unplanned child, I said, okay, it's a miracle child. There is no question, you know, obviously I'm keeping the baby. But how am I going to publish the book in all of this? So I said to myself, I'm going to do it one step at a time. I'm going to make, even if I take just one little step, but each day consistently. Like today, I'm going to write 1 chapter. If I cannot write 1 chapter, I'll write a paragraph. But as long as I'm doing something towards
being
my
consistent,
book, as long as I maybe make a phone calls, consistent, everyday, short steps. And in fact, the day I came back from the hospital with my baby is the day my books arrived, and it was like giving birth to 2, to 2 babies. And I
that's
named
beautiful.
My first book, the 1 Minute Coach, change your life 1 minute at a time, because that was basically what I was doing.
Yes. And I promise everybody, everything that she's talking about, all these books, all of this, I will definitely make sure, look down below, you're linked up. All right, go ahead, Masha.
Yes. So just to let you know, under the umbrella of the 1 Minute Coach, no, let's do this one step at a time. So this book came out, and this is actually 3rd edition of the book. The first one has my picture in it, but this is the 3rd one. So each chapter is actually is 1 minute, 1 minute long, and on the
perfect
left-hand side, just corresponds with the left side of the brain, logical, mathematical, information, words-based. You have text, yeah, and then on the right-hand side, every chapter has an image, because your right side of the brain remembers in images. The idea is that your whole brain gets involved. And of course, as I mentioned, information in itself is not power, so there's action steps. And I use stories, because stories remember it better. There's a way your brain is designed. If you understand how your brain works, how it learns, how it takes the information in and processes it, it becomes much easier to share the information, and also to take the information in. So even though my refugee story was very dramatic, of course, but something happened in my life that my refugee stories actually pales out compared to that event, yeah. Which is the reason why my second book came out afterwards, the 1 Minute Coach to Mastering Your Emotions. And what happened is I ended up facing my biggest fear. I'm actually not, I propose what I say to people, you know, you have to train your fearless muscle. It's like a muscle, like any muscle. You go to the gym to build your physical muscles. You also build your fearless muscles. And the way you
Yes.
do it is you face your fears. You
Love
fear
it.
something, you face it, yeah, you get stronger, you get more confident. You learn that I'm better, I'm stronger than my fear. And that's how you build your confidence. So anybody who's suffering with a lack of confidence, and usually it's in particular areas in your life, just do the things that you fear. But there are fears and there are fears. I had this fear on the level of survival, and that was the fear of abandonment, uh, the fear to be left, yeah, alone. I mean, that's, I guess, stems from my childhood. You know how it works. And that's what happened. It happened 7 years ago. My marriage fell apart, and really, I thought we would live, you know, together forever, die holding hands. You know, I had this beautiful story, and I learned that when your marriage or your relationship breaks up, you don't just grieve the loss of a person. What you grieve is the loss of the story, this
Yes.
beautiful story that you
I
built for
have
yourself,
chills.
and suddenly it's gone. And then you think to yourself, now what? Like, I had this old, like, imagine, I mean, we do it to ourselves, obviously, especially women. You know, we
The
build
fairy
up, we build up,
tale.
we build up. Exactly, fairy tale, and then suddenly it's gone. And I think a lot of listeners would relate to what I'm saying, because I think very few people go through life without experiencing loss, and without experience grief, and without, you know, experiencing being betrayed or abandoned, and all this kind of very deep, primal, I would even say, emotions are not easy for anybody. So there I was with three kids on my own, young kids at the time. So they were 7, 11, and 15,
Wow.
maybe a year younger even when that happened. And yes, and it was because I had three kids, I had to pull myself together and actually, again, get into that survival mode and learn to master those emotions and learn to
Face your
find that
fears
strength
and
within myself. And yeah, you know, actually, why I chose to separate is because it was my biggest fear. I knew it was my biggest fear, and I compromised myself, my values, my boundaries so much because I was so scared that if I upset him in some way or if I do something, he will leave me. I had such a big fear of it. And then I read a quote that said, if you're scared of losing something or someone, lose it and don't be scared anymore. And I was tired to be a slave to my fear. I said, I don't want to be scared anymore. I need to lose it and just face my fear. Unfortunately, I didn't realize how much worse it was going to be. I mean, fortunately, I didn't realize. In fact, fortunately, I didn't realize. Because if I knew how hard it was going to be, I probably wouldn't
probably
have
wouldn't have done
had the
it.
courage to do it. But I didn't know how hard it was going to be. But because it was so hard, it completely changed me for the better. I'm a much better person. I respect myself more. I like myself more.
Yes.
I'm much more myself because I lost myself in that relationship because I had to like adapt to what he wanted and how he wanted it
Yes.
and to please him and all this. I completely lost myself. So the transition was not easy. I would not lie. It was not easy at all. I had a good support system, and what I learned is that never ever be afraid to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help, because when you're in a place of when you're on the ground, yeah, and you just don't know what to do and how to get up, you gotta ask for help because you know it's often you cannot do it by yourself. And I had a wonderful support system. I had great friends and I had therapists, and I went to India, I went to ashram, to yoga retreat, and that was a breaking point for me in the sense that, that's what really helped me, because I felt like I was just draining, just kind of disappearing. I felt losing. I didn't know how to get back,
Is that
to
when
pull
you
myself together.
is
That's after being a coach, Shannon. That's after being a coach for 10 years.
yeah. Yeah, so you had to
That's
go
me having
within
to
and
totally
practice what you
having.
preached and find your way.
Yeah, what I'm saying, to you listeners, is that it happened to anybody. I thought I was invincible. I thought I knew everything. I was here. I am giving advice, getting paid a lot of money, and writing books. And then I get knocked down. Like, what happened? It's like you get hit by a truck, and it can happen to anybody. Yeah. So never feel like bad that you cannot handle something, because life will always put you in a situation that challenges you at the level of you, at the level that you can handle. Okay, so in a way, like, the harder the challenges is because you have what it takes to solve them, because
Yes.
you have the capacity to solve them, and when you do, you move to that next level.
And is that what your the
So yes,
book
so
is?
then yes, and then I was always a very emotional person, which is good and bad. Like, like it was everything in life. No matter, you know, what qualities you have, there's always a positive aspect to it and a negative aspect to it. The positive aspect, I'm very empathetic. I experience emotions fully, and a whole range of emotions very deeply, but also I'm able to feel what other people feel, and I'm very good
You
at
have
connecting
compassion.
to other people, which was makes I have compassion, I have empathy, and that's what makes me good at what I do. But at the same time, I'm also, I used to be. I've learned so much about what is this emotions, like why experiencing them, why we suffer, um, the whole point behind pain, and it's been an incredible journey. And then yes, this book came together as a result of that experience. And this book, where if my first book is more of a compilation of different stories, and it's about leadership and time management. It's it's an interesting book, of course, but this one I would say is much deeper. It's much more my personal experience, of dealing with different range of emotions, and I talk about what I call feel good emotions, and then I talk about feel bad emotions. Why? Because I don't want to say good emotions, bad emotions. I don't want to judge emotions, because all emotions are there for a reason. Just some
Yes.
of them feel good, and some of them don't feel so good, but they all have their
Yes.
place.
But they all
And
have their place. There's a reason why you're feeling that. That's why you should pay attention to your emotions and not just ignore them. They're trying to tell you something.
absolutely, yes.
That that's incredible. So coming from someone who was asked to put all of your little 1 minute coaching things into a book, and I'm not a writer. Now you have two. And there's more to your success story. You're quite amazing. Again, like I said, you were a professor, but so your personal experience, you put into your book, which again I will link up. But say someone is suffering, they're either suffering or they have a family member suffering from, say, something like addiction. What would be your advice or your coaching, or how would you help them?
And they're suffering from what? I didn't hear.
Addiction of any type, whether it be alcohol, drugs, because there's so much of that right now. I'm just curious, how would you help them with their emotion? Like, it's very emotional, whether you're watching someone suffer from addiction or trying that you're suffering from addiction and you have to get yourself out of that.
Addictions create chemical imbalance, so you really need to seek professional helps for people who specialize in addictions, and there has to be a process for detox that had to be supervised by a special medical team. I don't usually deal with addictions, but it's interesting that you mentioned it. It's really fascinating because 2 weeks ago I joined the clinic that actually deals with addictions. It's interesting. So I'm pretty sure if we do the interview in 6 months, I can tell you a lot more about addictions, because now I'm going to be
have to
learning
have you
a
back.
lot about that. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So
What if you were the family member or the loved one? And that's it's an emotional roller coaster. How do you find the strength to survive through watching somebody else crumble?
okay, let me share something with you, the way I view life and why things happen to us. Okay, so I come from the point of view that, okay, first of all, everything is energy, and that's actually has been proven, nothing new. Everything's energy, and everything has a particular vibration, particular frequency. By everything, I mean everything from things to food to emotions, thoughts, information, environment, everything that's alive, and everything has a particular frequency. And we manifest, we create our own reality based on our mindset, based on a few things actually. We create a reality based on our expectations, our belief system, what we believe is possible for us, what we believe we deserve. There is also DNA and ancestry play a role in the way that, let's say, I think an example that would probably work is you have a factory that produces Mercedes-Benz and you have a factory that produces Chevrolet, and they come out, okay, they might be of different qualities to begin with. We might be born in a certain environment with certain predisposed DNA, but then how we handle ourselves afterwards will really determine the end result. Because somebody can buy that Mercedes and just run it down to the ground within a few months, and it'll be like junk. And somebody can drive a Chevrolet and take really good care of it and change the oil and look after it and wash it and this. And then a few years later, it's in a much better place than the Mercedes. So even though we might not have control 100% of our destiny, but we do have control of how we maximize the potential that we're given. And the potential that we're given is so much more than we can possibly imagine, because we use so little of our potential initially. So I strongly believe in our mindset, using it correctly. And I do believe that we can change our reality and we can manifest different things. So whatever story you are, whatever script, whatever movie you are playing right now for you in your life, if you don't like it, rewrite the script. That's the first step you do. Rewrite that script.
I love it.
If you are faced with a challenging situation, going back to what you're saying, of somebody who is addicted, and you have to deal with it and it's breaking your heart and you don't know, the more attention, the more energy you give to the problem, the more of a problem you are creating. If you are coming from a victim mentality, in the sense that my life, is really hard, I have to deal with this, and this is what happened, and this at the time, it's a victim mentality. It's something you're focusing on the problem. Okay.
Yes.
So the first thing is you rewrite the story. You rewrite the story from your personal, not about the other person. You don't say, oh, he or she is now healthy and he or she is this. No, it's your life. It's your story. It's what you experience. So your story would be is, I'm so much more relaxed these days. I've finally found this peace of mind because people in my life are healthy. They're looking after themselves. I found the perfect solution to help them, and it's so great that they want to be helped. It's it's your experiences, how you experiences, maybe the change of somebody love, someone who you love in your life, but it's your experience. Yes. So you talk about, you rewrite the stories. The first thing you do, it's what I've always done. At the hardest moments in my life, I pick up pen and paper and I start writing exactly the opposite of what I'm feeling at the moment. If I'm feeling completely emotionally destroyed and you know,
Broken.
hopeless, and I
Yeah.
don't know, like I have no self-esteem, broken, exactly. I write down like I'm full of confidence. I'm an independent, confident woman. I look after myself. I do this, You know, I write all these things, and then, you know, now when I go back and read, and I can see that it's all actually happened, and I remember writing it at the time. It was completely the opposite emotional state. Just by shifting your focus, because what you focus, you attract. It's physics. It's not some kind of like a, you know, I don't know, some idea that I went to an ashram in India and I discovered. No, it's scientifically proven. Where we channel our energy, where we channel our thoughts, is what we create more of. So it's not gonna work for you if you do it for 2 minutes and then you go back to being stressed and worried and anxious. You want to, let's say you rewrite your story, maybe record it, listen to it when you before you go to sleep, or read it in the morning. Get yourself in that space emotionally. Get yourself into that calm, confident, like peaceful space as much as possible. The more you do it, it's true what they say. You walk the walk, you talk the talk. You know, when you act as if, you act as if. The more you act as if, the the faster you will get there. And
That's
it will
beautiful.
take a little bit of time because our material world is much slower than our thoughts. Our thoughts, they move in a faster speed, but the two-dimensional world, three-dimensional world we live in, is slower. So it will catch up. You just have to have. That's where faith comes in. That's where faith is not faith if it doesn't seem impossible at the moment. Faith is because it seems impossible, but you still believe that it for sure is going to happen.
That's beautiful. That's just incredible.
Thank you.
I can't. How does someone? I know you mentioned you were going to teach a course. You're starting a course. Are you? I can just imagine that the listeners can't wait to take more of you in. What's next for you?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that I actually got my master's in higher education, and I got my master's in my 40s while raising my 3 little children. And this because it was one of my goals to get the master's. My kids partied more than I did when I finished. When I finished, because I finally, you know, could give them more time. But yeah, it was my big desire to teach in university. It was something that I really wanted, and I couldn't teach in universities without having a master's. So I got the master's, and again, the universe works in wondrous ways. I live in a small town in the south of Spain, a small town called Marbella. It's like a little village. There's nothing here, and it's a Spanish town. The 2 months before I graduate with my master's, somebody opens a private English-speaking university 10 minutes walk from my house. Incredible. And I go and apply, and they take me immediately, and I start teaching there. And yeah, really, I never cease
Wow.
to get
Just
fascinated
wow.
how you know, I know, unbelievable. Yeah, it's so to answer your question, I'm going to be releasing a free course 1 week. It's called like a marathon course, like an introduction of how we manifest. It's all about the art of manifesting. What I was speaking about now, this is actually, it is about how we create our reality, how we manifest our life. So I'm gonna give it away for free. And
Wow.
then as an introduction to what I do. And then I'm putting together a course called Clarity. It's an incredible course. It's actually the basis of everything I do. I've been teaching it for 18 years now with great results. It's really step by step to where you're now, where you're going to be. You know, people get depressed, they get addicted, they get, you know, they have all this destructive behavior.
All this luggage, all this weight.
They don't understand how to get out from where they're now and how to get to where they want to be. They feel stuck, they feel lost, and then you know. And so with this course, I want to help them to really understand, you know, step by step. We look at your purpose, we look at your core values, which is how you make your decisions. We teach them how to write long-term vision. I share by the way, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, so I use hypnosis in my work. So I share the hypnosis that helps them, a few hypnosis actually, that helps them reprogram their mind, because you cannot change your life until you change here. You know, nothing will change.
I love that.
Until you change. Until you change here, yes, your chip. Until you shift your paradigm, nothing will change. No matter how hard you work, it's not about hard work. So yes, so I will definitely. So I think if listeners join me on any of the links you share, let's say Instagram or LinkedIn or anywhere, because I will share as soon as that course is out, which will be, I think by the end of the summer it should be out. As soon as it's out, I will share with my followers. I'll probably create like a smaller group where I can give also one-on-one attention with some webinars and things like that. Create like a VIP, and then they'll be able to know when the course is out.
Absolutely. I again, look below. She's all linked up. Follow her, follow her, follow her. And once this course comes out, Masha, I would love to have you back to go into it even deeper in that direction. I think you are fascinating. I think what you teach is fascinating. I think how you teach it is fascinating. You're brilliant.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love your energy and the way you listen. It's so easy to talk to you. You're really amazing at what you do. And I want to thank the listeners as well for taking the time, because many people want to change, but they don't do anything about it. They just talk about it, but they don't do anything about it. So if people are still, if they listen through the whole interview and they're still listening, I'd say you're definitely top 20% of somebody who is doing something.
I love it.
Life, and I have no doubt you will get.
That's beautiful. You
Thank you
are
so
remarkable.
much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, Masha, I don't even know what to say. What a story, and so many parts are relatable to people on so many levels. What you've been through, how you've come back, your mindset, implementing things, staying consistent. Gosh, it's just such incredible, motivating advice for anybody listening. I can't imagine just what people are going to take away from this.
One little shift in perception creates exponential results. If you apply at least one thing that you heard today, it will create exponential results. Yes, and I'm super grateful for this opportunity to share with you and your listeners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Masha. Again, I just cannot thank you enough for being on. I know, I can feel you are just going to so positively affect so many people out there. You already have. Hopefully this podcast helps. And it's endless. It's endless how many people can be positively affected by you, which positively affects their life, their family, their future. This is a beautiful snowball. I love it. I love it. And I actually can't wait to have you back. I can't wait to even follow your course, be part of it. I do believe that knowledge, I want to take it all in. Again, this is Masha Malka, and she is the 1 Minute Coach. And this was all about mastering your emotions. And good luck, everybody. You're going to be fabulous. Just listen to her. She's so smart. This is the part of the podcast that I call Be Kind. And that's when I find a positive, motivating quote that's relevant to what we talked about today. And today was mastering your emotions and how much your emotions, good or bad, affect you, mentally. And the quote is, if you give into your emotions, you lose yourself. You need to be one with your emotions because the body always follows the mind. And that is by the great Bruce Lee. Thank you. This is one of my favorite segments, Style Secrets. And this is when I pay forward something I've done, someplace that I've went, something that I've used, something that my friends have told me about, but I thought it was great, wonderful, and I just want to share it with other people so all of you could experience what I experienced or what my friends have experienced. And one thing I want to share with you is my favorite hair guy ever, Federico, or affectionately known around here as Fetty, and he has his own salon here on Las Olas called Sarracino. He works with his brother. Andre, they are fabulous. There's usually soccer or some type of fabulous fashion show going on in the background. Two Italian brothers came here from Italy, worked as hairdressers, opened up their own salon right here on Las Olas, Sarracino, and they are so spectacular. He does my hair. He highlighted it. I haven't let anybody touch my hair as far as coloring since high school because I do it myself. And he finally said, Shannon, this is something we have to do. And he threw in some highlights and I absolutely love him. So if you need a place locally here in Fort Lauderdale on Las Olas, or if you're anywhere around and you're looking for a good guy, you gotta go in there. He'll take care of you. Thanks, Betty.